So Cuba's kicking off again. People that aren't mad Marxist revolutionaries are kicking off and rioting. It looks really nasty with eyes being gouged, very painful and horrible. Because basically they're living under an economic system that does not deliver food or medicine. The US blockade does not include food and medicine, the essentials of life. They don't blockade. They are living under an economic system that simply doesn't work. And that is why I would never vote Labour, because at the end of the day, that's the direction of travel that you're going to end up. And the Tories are a step in the right direction, a step. I think, really the Heritage Party are the true Conservatives, really. But I think the Conservative Party has been invaded by all these cultural Marxists, particularly on issues of trans and gay rights and religious rights, So, I don't know. I think I'll stick with the Tories. Why not? They're definitely not economically pro-Marxist. The ghost of Maggie still haunts the Conservative halls. They wouldn't touch Marxism with a barge pole, and that's why I vote Conservative. All this Marxism starts with brotherly love and ends up with you eating your pet. Toby Young idea. And I'm rather glad I'm living in England. At least I've got a better economic system. And I've got a friend who says to solve the environmental crisis, we've got to have degrowth and reappropriation. And where do I stand in all of that as a private landlady? I'd be a candidate for the reappropriation, which, just take my property off me and give it to some Syrian refugees or something, and they say they'd only go after the rich. Well, the truth of the rich, there's not that many of them, whereas the middle for diddle people, there's a lot more of us, and we're stationary and we don't have outside interests. So who are they going to go to? Who are they going to tax? Who are they going to take money and property from? So they said they'd only go after the rich, but I'm not convinced about that. I think the direction of travel of Labour is always Marxism and tax and spend, and what else am I saying? I think ultimately, you just end up in the gulag, and ultimately it leads to the gulag. Really, either you get Cuba, or you get the gulag. I mean, I think when you're young, I think it appeals to you because obviously you'd be taking money off richer older people, and the young people would get the money. But I mean, once you're invested in the system, then you realise how things pan out, and you have a bit of responsibility if you have a mortgage, or you own property. Then you realise how things pan out, and you probably are not going to, if you're not going to be probably so, pro-Marxist, are you? And the left are always more left-wing than the older generation anyway. It's just nature of the beast. I mean, then it's just sort of like, it seems like, well, the work of the workers make all the wealth, so why don't the workers seize the means of production? And the trouble is, it's sort of like, when you collectivise anything, it always goes wrong, and it sounds like a lovely idea of milk and honey and free pizza for everyone. But that's not how it plays out. I'd rather have a bad Tory than a bad communist. Your bad Tory, and he's not really that bad, is Boris, and you can walk around and do what you like, whereas under Stalinism you just be in a concentration camp. It's a no-brainer, really, and I think the universities are always more left wing than the mainstream of society, and they come up with all these really bad ideas, and when they present them to the general population, then sort of this massive rejection. Sort of they had this idea of replacing the flag of England, St George flag of cross of England, with a tree, an oak tree, because that would be more inclusive of religious minorities, you know. But of course, personally, I think let's have the cross of St George, you know. And under capitalism, maybe 25% of the people feel the pinch and have to go to food banks, which is terrible, obviously, for those people. But under communism, 99% of the people are starving, hence Cuba, you know. And also, this great big money making machine, this free market economy, creates wealth that creates your NHS and provides your army and funds your education system. Where does all this money come from? From the wealth creation, you know, and that happens under capitalism, not under communism. You know, communism is not a wealth generating system. It's all about reappropriation. It's a politics of envy, you know, and so you know, so what's the tax base and who's creating the money, and you only get that under a free market capitalist system where people work and pay taxes and provide the finance for your beloved NHS and the army and education, and also your third worlders. You know, they wouldn't get bupkis under a communist system, would they? You know, because there wouldn't be any money because people would be starving. So your third worlders do better out of it than they would under a communist system. It's really a no-brainer, really, is it? You know, and then on a lighter note, if socialism worked, I'd have £0. If socialism didn't work, I'd still have £0. Good night. Goodbye.